Well, President Biden has been in the Oval Office for nearly 3 years, and yet he's still facing criticism over his agenda. The latest Reuters Ipsos poll shows concerns over many voters that they have over his age, crime, and the economy. Plus, even one columnist who has supported Biden in the past is now saying that both Biden and Harris should not run for re-election in 24. Our political panel is ready to discuss, starting with Democratic analyst Jonathan Harris, along with Republican strategist and former senior advisor to Trump's 2016 campaign, John Elliott. Good to have you both. So, Jonathan, let me start with you. The Washington Post's liberal columnist, David Ignatius, he wrote the other day that Biden should not run for re-election and that his two biggest problems are his age and his cackling vice president. Well, he didn't say cackling, I did. But he also says if Biden and Harris run together again, that he risks undoing his greatest achievement, which he thinks was stopping Trump from being reelected in 2020. So let me ask you this, Jonathan. The whispers are starting to get pretty loud now for him to step aside, with Trump beating him in a bunch of polls. So where do you see this right now?
Well, it was funny. When I was reading the piece that he wrote, I was noting that the person who wrote it is approaching his mid-70s. So I wasn't sure if it was satire or if he wanted to be taken seriously. I've said before that I think ageism is one of the last acceptable prejudices in our society, and I don't quite understand it. It is almost Twilight Zone territory to suggest that a person is too old to do a job that they are currently doing well.
No,
the reality is
that's the point, Jonathan. I think most people are seeing him because it's not like he's some guy in some corner office and nobody sees. He's the president. People see a deterioration, where he sits there and doesn't know where he is, or he's ready to walk into a wall unless Secret Service, redirects him. Well, that's what I think he's saying.
I think the reality, though, is that you could make a reel of any president. I mean, there's Trump struggling to walk down a ramp, walking up a ramp with toilet paper stuck to his shoe, drinking a bottle with two hands, saying Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, was Tim Apple. You could do that to anyone. The reality is, look, we have unemployment right now under 4% or 4%. The CBO projected that wouldn't happen before 2025. He's regained every job that Trump lost, plus 4 million more. This is a person who, when you just look at the data, is doing a very good job as president. So then simultaneously suggesting he's too old to do the job is ridiculous. And one thing I would add is to say that if we changed the ticket and lost, everyone would say, well, why did you abandon the ticket that beat Trump the first time? Well, it was Biden-Harris that beat him the first time. Why would you change it for a second time? So I don't know. I think that guy's column had to have been satire. It was a little bit silly.
Well, John, you think it was a trial balloon to see what the reaction would be?
Well, look, what was amazing, first of all, if you lose a liberal columnist like David Ignatius, you know that you've lost the whole country, because these are the last holdouts who are defending Biden's ridiculous record. But this also comes off the heels of when Biden was embarrassing us overseas. He held a news conference where they actually cut him off and piped him off with music, with this slow jazz music, as if it was something like the Oscars. They didn't even let him continue his news conference because they know that that's how bad he is when he speaks extemporaneously. But to take a step back, Rob, if you take a look at, everybody's known that Biden has been totally out of the age range to be president. Once again, it's not about chronological age. It's about actually your fitness, your mental acuity. And this is something that he does not. You could take somebody, look, when I was working for President Trump in the 2016 election, I'm half his age and none of us could keep up with him. And you look at the long form interviews that he sits down, whether it's with Hannity or whether it's with Tucker or somebody else, he'll talk for a whole hour without a single note and just look. Probably the three of us there, maybe Rob could do it, but anyway, Jonathan and I can definitely not do that. But bottom line is that it's not a function of chronological age, but if you've lost, what's happening is that Biden is vulnerable 100% on what's happening with the Hunter Biden corruption investigation. And so the Democrat Party has decided we need to get this guy off stage and declare that he's not running, because then whatever's going to happen from that investigation is no longer going to be a liability, because they're going to say, great, we're going with Gavin Newsom or something, and they just have a short period of time to do that. So what they do, what the establishment of the Democratic Party does, is it pushes out somebody like David Ignatius to say something that's totally unrelated to the corruption and just say what we've known for 3-4 years, is that Biden can't do the job.
All right, guys. We're going to have plenty of time to talk about this. You got 10 seconds. Go ahead.
I just think it's laughable to say that a person can't do a job they're clearly doing. And I would just add that if Biden's lost a liberal columnist, Trump has lost Romney. So, I mean, you play into who...
We have an argument about Romney.
You play into whoever says what you want to hear.
Guys, I got to wrap it up. But I think there's a lot of people in the Republican Party in the Senate that are happy that Romney might be leaving. But that's an argument for another day. I appreciate you guys. Jonathan and John, you'll be back with us soon.